fresh good evening to all the air warriors on the call, sir. Today's is a special call, a webinar in which a different subject altogether by our Air Commodore Nitin Sathe, sir. And I'd like to read out his bio before we commence the webinar part of it. So, Air Commodore Nitin Sathe is a helicopter pilot of the Indian Air Force with 35 years of commissioned service to his credit. During his career, he has been a part of many life-threatening and life-saving missions, both in India and abroad. He has flown almost all the helicopters of the IAF inventory and has a total of 5,500 hours of flying experience. When the tsunami of 2004 ravaged the islands of Car Nicobar Islands, he volunteered to go there for rescue, relief, and rehabilitation efforts and stayed there for a year, battling against all odds to bring back the island to normalcy. Long thereafter, he decided to pen down his experience and came out with his first book titled Few Good Men and Angry Sea, released in 2014. Acted on the success of his first effort, he went on to write a biography of his batchmate, flying officer MP Anil Kumar, a MiG-21 pilot who became a quadriplegic due to an accident at the age of 24 years. Defying all odds, Anil Kumar went on to live a meaningful life for 26 years thereafter the tragedy, and his biography takes you through his life and reads like a Stephen Hawking story. This motivational book, titled Born to Fly, was released in December 2016 and has been recommended by NCERT for additional reading by children. It also has been received an award for the best novel in the non-fiction category for the year 2016-17 at an international literary festival. The book has been translated into Hindi, Marathi, Malayalam, and Gujarati, besides Braille. It is also being translated into more vernacular languages to improve its reach. A movie based on the novel is also on the cards. Proceeds from this book help in looking after soldiers with spinal injuries through an NGO, non-government organization. His third book is a bouquet of 90 stories, which was launched in September 2018 at Delhi, titled Up in the Sky. These star stories that have been written from real-life incidents and happenings that will bring back to life the episodes, trials, and tribulations of men in uniform, mainly focusing on the life and flying adventures of helicopter pilot carrying out a multitude of missions. During his career spanning 35 years, the officer has commanded many important units and large established in the IAF and has been responsible for these to be battle ready at all times. He has had a stint in the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Congo and has been director training at the National Defense Academy and senior instructor at the Defense Services Staff College. He is a MSc in Defense Studies, MPhil in Disaster Management, and MBA in HR. He also is an interviewing specialist and has been the president of Premier Services Selection Board of our country. Air Commodore Sathe retired from the IAF in March 2020 and is presently settled at Pune. He is a keen adventure enthusiast and does long-distance cycling for fun. He is also interested in yoga, reading, sketching, and cooking. You can also get a glimpse of his writings on various current topics on readip.com, to which he contributes quite often. Post-retirement, he utilizes his time in storytelling on the internet with the aim of motivating our youth to do well in life. His lectures are also held for the corporate, educational institutions, and other professionals in various fields. Now, I'm also pleased to tell about him that he has been working with the government of Punjab as a director for imparting training to the pre-recruiting personnel for the armed forces, like giving training to make them prepare for the NDA kind of thing with the government of Punjab. So thank you so much, sir, for joining today's call. On behalf of our Air Veterans Association, I once again heartily welcome you to share your experiences, particularly with regard to the tsunami incident where you were part of that rehabilitation, rescue, and resettlement of our Air Force station in Car Nicobar. So let's all welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you, Sajid.
Welcome, sir. Air Commodore Sathe, sir. You are welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for getting me on the show. It's always a pleasure to speak to the veterans who have made the Air Force what it is today. And now I am also part of the veteran lot. Till a few years ago, I was on the other side of the fence. So having joined your fence, I have been doing a lot of work to kind of get my stories across to people in the civil life majorly, so as to tell them that the armed forces are the best place to be in. One. Secondly, they're the most adventurous too. And thirdly, you can't get a better job than the armed forces anywhere in the world. So with that background, I think what we have just about an hour with us, and the presentation is long. The effects of the tsunami are still being felt all over the world, even after so many years from 2004 till now. So I will not waste much time into my introduction and all that. That has already been done, and we will get on with the presentation straight away. I am going to share my screen, and please reserve your questions for the end so that my flow in the talk is maintained. One. Secondly, what has happened is that I have prepared this presentation. I talk about each of the photographs. There are examples of management, examples of leadership, examples of what the Indian Air Force did in the 1 year that we rehabilitated the islands of Car Nicobar. So I will quickly take you through the initial part, and then when we come to the main part of the story, I'll go down a little slower. And in the end, of course, you can ask me any questions that you may have. So I'll start with sharing my screen, sirs. And here we are. Here we go. So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. So I always start with this quote, which is very apt for this particular tragedy, and it's apt for armed forces completely. It says that life is like a grindstone. Your life, apna hai, it's like a grindstone. Whether it grinds you down or polishes you up, it depends on what you are made of. So आप किससे बने हो, किस मिट्टी के बने हो, उसके ऊपर आधारित है कि आप अगर मिट्टी में मिल जाएं या चमक के बाहर आ जाएं. So
well said, sir.
Always I quote this. So this is text before we take off. And so we will take off in an AN-32, which takes off from Chennai. It takes 4.5 hours to reach the small little islands of Andaman Nicobar Islands, which see with my arrow here. And first we have to go and refuel at Port Blair because there is no fuel available at Karnik because of the tsunami. And we are all going there to rehabilitate the islands. We are an Air Force people of 70 people are going in this AN-32. And two AN-32s flown. First aircraft is being flown by the Vice Chief, and the second aircraft is being flown by another Air Marshal. So he's taking us all to Port Blair. We'll refuel there and then have a cup of tea. And all of us will now land at Car Nicobar Island, which is 150 nautical miles south of Port Blair. It takes about 45 minutes to reach. It's in the middle of nowhere. It is closer to Indonesia and to Myanmar than it is to India. Okay, so a little zoom in shot of the Andaman Nicobar Islands. Just to give you a quick recap, the North Andamans are here and the South Andamans are here. They are separated by the 10-degree channel, and the first island of the northern group is called the Andaman group, and the southern group is called the Nicobar group. The northern group of islands is volcanic islands, normal volcanic islands, whereas the southern group is made of millions of years of the coral formation. They're all coral islands south of the 10-degree channel. It's nature is so, this thing that it has got a gap in between the top type of island and the bottom island that you see here. Okay. So this is the 10-degree channel. A lot of shipping takes place through this place. And Port Blair is, of course, the capital. And we are right here, right at the top, just near the 8-degree channel that is called the Car Nicobar. I wonder, some of you, of course, over here must have been posted there at some point in time. So this is the beautiful island of Car Nicobar, which has nothing else except the runway. It is just 10 kilometers by 10 kilometers, just a very small island with just about 65 kilometers of roads running only on the coast. There is only jungle in the center of the island. The total population of the entire island is not even 40,000. Okay, entire island means the southern island chain, complete southern island chain. Car Nicobar is about 25,000 people. That's all. This is the district headquarters of Karnik, and it's also got the Air Force base, which has got about 1,000 odd people. Some families are also living here. And we have a Cmde Vidyalaya, brand new Cmde Vidyalaya, which has come up, and small school is there. Some ladies are teaching there. You don't get teachers here, so our own ladies, they teach. Teaching of our children on this island. Okay, it takes about 24 hours to reach, 48 hours to reach from Chennai in a ship, or Calcutta from Calcutta. It takes 48 hours for a ship to reach there. And from Port Blair, it takes about overnight to reach by ship. So if you have to travel by ship, it's the most horrible journey that you can ever undertake. There are rats on the ship, and there is cockroaches on the ship, and you just It's a horrible journey. But in the olden times when aircraft travel was not allowed, all our families, all our men, they used to travel by these ships to come to the islands.
Okay.
All your posting claims, everything used to be by ship. Okay. So coming back to this thing, 12 kilometers by 10 kilometers, we have 572 islands in this entire Andaman Nicobar group. And
Okay.
now a special survey has been done and it says that there are more than 1,000 islands actually.
Okay.
But only 38 to 40 islands have got human beings staying there. Only 38-40 island है और कुछ island ऐसे हैं जिसमें 15 से 17 लोग भी रहते हैं. एक island पे 15 लोग रहते हैं, एक island पे 17 लोग रहते हैं. बस इतना छोटा-छोटा एक family रहता है एक island के ऊपर. और वो बहुत सारे island तो ऐसी खाली हैं, alligators रहते हैं वहाँ पे और कुछ नहीं रहते.
अच्छा.
Okay. So communication, like I told you, roads just along the edge of the thing. There are almost no roads anywhere in the islands. Just small strips of roads are there. And total 60 kilometers of roads was available on Karnik. Total 60 kilometers. Yes. Okay. So roads, ships, air courier, I told you 4.5 hours. And I told you the difference between the volcanic and the coral type of islands. Okay. So these are the kind of tribes that are there. Total 40,000, I told you, that is the strength. 25,000 in Car Nicobar alone. You can see a lot of Bengali and Tamil influence over there because people from both parts of the country have landed up there and settled down. So you'll see Bengali and Tamil influence in food as well as in way of dressing as well as in talk.
Culture.
Okay. So then the tribals, of course, these are the kind of tribals that are there. Most of them are black. And you can see that there is some Chinese, blood there, Mongoloid features as well as some African features. Okay. So there are Andamanese, Onge, Sentinelese, Jarwa, Nicobarese, Champagne. There are all kinds of tribes that are there. And some of these tribes are not to be touched by any of us. We can't even go to where they stay. They are the protected tribes and they shoot arrows at you if you come anywhere close in any case. This famous case of one journalist who tried to go onto the islands in North Andamans, and he was taken prisoner and he was buried alive. And then they, of course, got his body back later. So they don't accept any human beings to come on, kind of disturb there. So it was the 26th of December and it was early morning hours. 25th was Christmas party, and as we all enjoy our evenings on a holiday, everybody had enjoyed their evening and they had slept late. And 26th early morning at 5:28 in the morning, the tsunami happened. How did the tsunami happen was because there was a massive earthquake under the ocean near Banda Ake. I'll just show you the map a little later. Near Banda Ake. And that's just about, I think, 600-700 kilometers from where we were at Car Nicobar. So when this massive earthquake of 9.02 on the Richter scale happened, the entire earth shook and then the water started receding. And then the water started climbing and then the first of the waves hit. So in a span of 45 minutes, we had 7 waves hitting Car Nicobar alone. It happened all over the world. It happened as far as Africa. I will just show you in the next this thing. So this is the epicenter of the earthquake, 9.15. Some people put it at 9.05. So that's not consequential, this thing. But the magnitude of the earthquake is one of the highest that has ever been seen in the world. Okay. So these are the kind of deaths that have happened. And you can see as far as East Africa also, we had 300 plus people dying because of a tsunami that was generated so far away, thousands of kilometers away over here. It took almost 24 hours for the waves to reach, wave to reach that side. So at Andaman Nicobar Island, we had seven waves hitting us and we had about 2,500 people dying because of the tsunami, right? So total India lost was 16,000 people died and 730,000 were rendered homeless. And that is the number of dollars that was lost, and 12,405 lives that were rendered homeless. Okay, so this is the kind of Sri Lanka, of course, was the worst hit. You can see the figures over here. So this is what I wrote when we were 70 of us who landed on, like I told you, we have started the journey in AN32. So when we landed there, they dropped us 70 men, 7 officers and 63 airmen, including NCs, were dropped at the island, and whoever was surviving on the island was taken back in the AN32. इससे पहले उन्होंने एक और जहाज मंगा के बाकी जो इंजर्ड लोग थे और जिनके लॉसेस हुए थे उनको भेज दिया गया था. So we were the last of the freshers coming in, and then the island was back to us. So I write over here, as we taxied into the parking lot, all we could see was rubbish strewn all around, as if someone was searching for something. Someone searching for something had rummaged through the whole island and left the debris spread all over. And in the end, I write in the same chapter, I write, as the aircraft took off for its return journey, to the mainland, an eerie silence broken only by the whining of the wind. We were on our own now, marooned in the midst of the sea, and our mission was about to begin. This is how I start this. This is a book I wrote about the tsunami, and so it's got all the photographs showing you and more. So this is how I started at the Andamans.
That book is named as A Few Good Men and the Angry Sea, sir.
Correct. A Few Good Men and the Angry Sea.
Right, sir.
Yeah. So this is how what we saw. The left house is our doctor's house, a lady doctor who died in this whole thing. You can see that her entire floor has been cleaned out completely. You can see right up to the. So this is the airman mess, one of the airman billets. Okay. So this is a very interesting story of the radar ramp. This is the radar ramp 151 squadron. Okay. It had a P-18 radar, and it was right on top. You can see it is almost falling off the ramp. The ramp is completely shaken up, completely broken at various places, but it was complete, full ramp was available. So about 400 people went and climbed on top of this ramp when the water started coming in. How the water started coming in was that initially the sea went lower, and then slowly water started coming, and then the waves hit. So when the waves hit, about 400 people were on top of this radar ramp. They got saved. So later on, the sides of the radar ramp, this side and this side, both were broken. So nobody could come down from the radar ramp now. They were stuck. So the CEO of the helicopter unit, he got airborne. He carried out rescue from the radar ramp of these 400 people, one by one. For 4 hours, he flew in his chappals he wears glasses like me. He was my coastmate. And he flew almost 3.5 hours on a full tank with internal fuel. And he rescued almost all of them from the top, ladies and children first, and then the gentlemen from the top of this rank. He was awarded the Kirti Chakra for his bravery. This is how the things look from the air. This is the airman quarters and the officers' quarters. This side is the airman quarters, this side is the officers' quarters. So just see how they have gone down like a pack of cards. Okay. This is one of the very few photographs in the book. This is the operations room. A small tent was put up next to the runway, and because the ATC had collapsed, so we had to set up operations from the side of the runway, and we used to sit here all day long waiting for the aircraft. There was no question of wearing any uniform or overalls all the time, because there was no time to all this. It was complete morning to night to morning was always working. So we couldn't have those many overalls to wear. So we were going in our games rig everywhere and carrying out our work. So this is the kind of camp that we set up. Initially, first thing to do is to get our homes ready. So this was the detachment commander's house. One single room for the group captain, and then the coup. I was the coup and the task force commander. So I used to stay in this with the CADO and the CNJO. So 3 of us used to stay in this tent, and then all the young people used to stay here. All the airmen, men, everybody used to stay in the other tents. And this was the one side was this was the central tent was the MI room, and the next to that was a mess kind of thing where you used to come and have lunch and dinner together. All of us used to eat together. Okay. And this is the army camp that was set up by the army. They lived separately. They were from the engineers. They helped us out with the rescue and relief. So this is one of the ships which went on the side. This was in Port Blair, of course, not in Karnik. But this was the ship which used to do the short hauls between from Port Blair to Car Nicobar and back. It used to keep going up and down. It's called Teal. This ship was called Teal.
Okay.
Yeah. So now from ground zero, this is what is left of the main road going to the station commander's house. This place.
Okay.
This is the road that is left. These are the houses that were there. In fact, the station commander's house, only the plinth was left. Nothing else was left. Kuch nahi tha udhar. Okay. Station commander was group captain Bandopadhyay. He now lives in Calcutta.
Okay.
So this is, these are kind of how our cars were looking. Cars.
Okay. Total destruction, sir.
Complete destruction. When you see on the left, he had come from Chennai in an aircraft. I don't know how he managed to come. But he came there to actually find out whether we had lost so much because everybody was claiming insurance, no?
Acha, okay, insurance inspector.
Insurance agent.
Inspector.
So हमने भगा दिया उधर से. He said, "You're troubling us. You're eating our ration without any thing. We go from here." And then he went. He just came to see whether we had actually lost so much of. So there are a few aspects of little stories that I like to tell you all. First was we'll start from below. The issue of liquor. There was no liquor on the island, and people, when they get tired, they want to have a drink in the evening. So जहाँ पे CSD पुराना था ना, we one evening, the first evening, we saw some army people having a drink.
Okay.
किधर से मिला कि वो आपका जो MI रूम है उसके पीछे हम dig करा था तो उसके नीचे बहुत सारा दारू मिला. अच्छा. So what they did was they opened जैसे पुराने जमाने में वो इंजेक्शन का खोलते थे ना ऊपर से, because everything was rusted. Then one day everything rusted up over there.
Okay.
They couldn't open the top of the bottle, so they broke the bottle from the top. फिर मसलिन क्लॉथ में जो कुछ बॉटल मिला सबको मिला दिया बाल्टी में, and then they gave it for everybody to drink. So I said, okay, let's not do this. Let's give it to everybody. Let's have a little drink in the evening, everybody. So we controlled this particular aspect of this. Otherwise, the civilians also wanted to come and dig. Everybody wanted to go and for a drink. You know how bad it is.
Okay.
Then there was a doctor who came there who was very demotivating. He came and started telling a story that this whole island will sink to the bottom of the
Okay.
Damage हो गया है नीचे से, because the shape of this thing is like a mushroom. So mushroom time वो बोला टूट गया है, which is not wrong totally. It was damaged, but to say that the island will go down to the bottom of the ocean was not right. So I had, out of 70 people, 50 people wrote applications that they wanted to go back.
Okay.
So they said कि मुझे नहीं रहना है, क्योंकि why am I risking my life when everybody is dead, everybody is gone? Let the base go. We'll go out of this island. Why should we waste our time? समझाना पड़ा कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है. Don't worry. ठीक है. So this is what then the sanitation hygiene was a big problem. There were no bathrooms. ओपन में जाना पड़ता है, वहां पे रेप्टाइल्स होगा, मच्छर काटेगा, मच्छर का भी प्रॉब्लम था. If a mosquito bites you there, you'll get cerebral malaria. Okay. Mosquito bite. So we had to be very, very, very clear about what we are doing. Everybody's birthday and everything was celebrated every time. So we used to birthday cakes from every alternate day. N32 used to come.
Okay. They used to bring
our birthday cakes for everybody.
Great, sir.
And entertainment was a must. In the evening, everybody had to get together. Nobody had to stay alone.
Okay.
Put people somewhere alone, then there's a problem of him doing all the wrong things,
Yes, sir.
So that kind of thing. And then of course there was this. I had one satellite phone. अंदर से I was only supposed to talk to vice chief directly in case anything is required. So उसमें से फिर रोज every week में once in 2 weeks everybody was allowed 2-minute call to home.
Okay.
So that their morale was maintained. They could talk to their home for 2 minutes. Expensive that time to make a satellite call, and it's very difficult to speak on a satellite phone.
Yes, sir.
Like I told you, everything including a shoelace came from Chennai. There was nothing on the island. So even if you wanted a nail, so everything had to come from Chennai. So the demand used to be huge. Only 4 tons of items were coming every alternate days. That included fuel, that included sabji, that included dal, that included fares for a helicopter, that included people going on leave, coming back from leave, everything.
Okay.
So it was logistician nightmare for me to manage everything to, happen. Okay, so basic needs, like I said, forced leave. I had to force people to go on leave because then people had to go back, recuperate their minds and come back. Otherwise, you in the place like Car Nicobar with nothing happening, your mind can go for a sick. So we had to send them on leave. Some people were saying, "Sir, हम कहीं नहीं जाएंगे, हम यहीं पे काम करेंगे." So that kind of josh is good, but it might lead to mental problems later on. Like if you've gone through a disaster yourself, you will have mental problem. You are likely to have,
Yes, sir.
Post-disaster, distress syndrome बोलते हैं, PDS. If you have distress like that, you need to go to a psychologist for treatment. Right. So like games were compulsory. Every morning, everybody had to meet together. Buddy system was there. No staying alone. Okay. And then of course, I told you priority for load and all that. And of course, I used to give my motivation talks there also. I started learning how to motivation talk. Not only that, we used to get people to come and talk to each other so that we remain motivated to continue staying in those difficult circumstances. Now there was a lot of paperwork to be done also. Guard duty भी करना है, काम करना है, cleaning up भी करना है. Same people are doing everything. रोटी भी बनाने के लिए हमारा airman हम लोग सब mix करके बनाते थे. Okay. 1 or 2 cooks were there. They couldn't, make for 70 people. Everybody had to help each other out, and then you have to do paperwork also. Write off every life that was lost. Sabka court of inquiry, prove that he's dead, so that the government, money reaches everybody. And of course, property loss, government property loss, everything had to be done. So a lot of statement of cases were raised, and we got everything that we wanted. But it was a very tough job that we had to do. A little talk about public relations. We had to. Lot of dignitaries. Every hero wants to come there. When we went there, Rahul Bose was sitting there on the island already. पता नहीं किधर से आ गया, ship पे बैठ के आ गया. And Rahul Bose was staying in a tent he was staying there, and in whites, he used to welcome every VIP who came there. So I think he was trying to get into politics that time or whatever. So people like this who are there get unnecessary, they get a lot of VIP treatment, and the actual task that we are doing, it suffers. I've just written control of dignitaries there. Management of media, lot of media people come there. So there was some negative reporting that happened because there was, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, police, everybody was not speaking together. They were all speaking in different things. So somebody said कि Army is not doing well. Somebody said Air Force हमको help नहीं कर रहा है. Somebody, police said ये लोग ऐसे कर रहे हैं. And then form one party, one place where general briefing to the press was given. Okay,
That's
correct
good.
thing was
Good, sir. Yes, sir.
so that misreporting didn't take place. Like no finger pointing, no civil administration. जैसे सब लोग चिल्लाते थे civil administration कुछ नहीं काम कर रहा. But we never used to say that because anything negative that goes out will have more negative effect on the locals.
Yes, sir.
So a quick run through of what we did over there. This is the kind of work that we had to do. Officers, men, everybody together.
Okay.
One of this on the left hand side, you can see this earth moving
Equipment.
wala thing. So we had only one which was partially serviceable. Isko hum use karte the. And after some time, something went wrong. Some diesel, something happened to it. Pump was bad. So it also stopped working. So after that, it was all manual clearing.
Okay.
So kerosene from the aircraft used to be taken out in jerrycans, and it used to be everything. All these people are lighting up the fires because below these things are a lot of bodies lying. A lot of bodies are lying. A lot of animal carcasses are lying.
Okay.
We had to set fire to. Once in a while, there used to be a gas cylinder inside. वो भी burst हो जाता था. So we had to control fire था, but कभी-कभी uncontrolled हो जाता था. So this is how our airman billet looked like after the tsunami.
Okay.
No doors, no windows, nothing was left. So again, cleaning up operations. So what we did was later on IL-76 or ये सब सामान, this heavy equipment came, because of which we could fast do this demolition faster. So each of these houses that you see behind, they had to be demolished to the ground.
Okay.
Because they were all damaged beyond economical
repair.
तो इसके अंदर वो चार्ज लगा के सबको एक दिन नीचे करके पूरा level कर दिया. And then we made a big mound along the sea coast and planted trees over there. I'll show you the photograph of the trees 9 years later.
Okay.
So this is, I always talk about this, plastic menace. पानी तो आता है, bottle में ही आता है. So lot of wastage. There was no time to waste water because actually there was only 1 liter of water available per person per day. And later on, but plastic bottle सब लोग फेंक रहा था, तो सबको मिला के then we used to kind of get them at one place. And the cost of transporting this back to the islands, from the islands, is more than 10 times the cost of the actual water bottle. Okay. So there's no point sending anything out of the island. So we had to, no choice but to kind of bury it, and it was not environmentally friendly, but there was no choice. So all this cleaning up operations was the biggest task that we had to do.
Okay.
The runway looked.
It seems to have been washed out.
Complete washed out and pura टूटा हुआ है. You can see holes in the runway. So this had to be, initially we had to fill up every time aircraft was landing, we had to fill up with sand. All these breaks in the runway. And then the aircraft used to land and more mud used to come out. So again, before it took off, again we used to. So एक दिन में अगर 3 IL-76 आ गया तो हमारा जान निकल जाता था. Runway को ठीक करते. Okay. All Dornier kill no problem, but if an IL-76 comes, it takes a long time to repair the runway again for operations to continue. So morning to evening, aircraft used to operate. रात को we used to start repairing the runway. So for each cut that happened like this, we had to cut it at 90 degrees and fill in this material. So 80 tons of this material was used on the runway. 80 tons.
My God. All brought from Chennai, sir?
Everything from Chennai. So first you clean up the runway, remove everything, then cut the runway with these diamond cutters. There were only 2 diamond cutters available. Cutter se cutting karke. In the next morning, again, operations should start. So all this repair work had to stop.
The night works only.
हाँ, पूरा planning करना पड़ता था कि कितना tools cut कर सकता है और कितना खत्म हो सकता है काम सुबह तक. So it was round the clock. Okay. So this was the kind of ATC that we had, and lost the ATC like this, flat, ऊपर का और नीचे गिर गया. So we had to go inside cutting किया, and then we made a small ATC on top later, 1 year later. Okay. Temporary ATC. So this is where the rum was found, rum and whiskey was found. This is the this is the station sick quarters. Only the front remained. Okay. And this is the new station sick quarter we made. Where notice that wherever sea water goes, it will become brown. It will take a long time for anything green to grow there. Okay. So this is our airman billet, one of the billets which survived. So we had to clean this up manually and make this for people to live. Okay. So no power supply in the islands. So we had these generators all destroyed. So initially we had candlelight dinner every day for about 6 months. Only in the morning 1 hour generator, and in the evening 2 hours generator. 3 hours for us. Rest was generators were used for charging of all the batteries and technical requirements. Okay. These generators came after about